कि जो वक्फ का काला कानून मोदी सरकार लाई है उसके खिलाफ आज हमने पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट किया है।
इसी महीने की शुरुआत में संसद ने वक्फ संशोधन कानून बनाया।
Regarding the same, security forces have been deployed in Jangipur of Mushirabad.
In April 2025, a new law passed quietly in Parliament. It promised efficiency, digitization, and social reform. But for many, it also stirred up deep fears that history might be erased and the trust once broken may not be rebuilt. This is the story of Waqf Bill 2025. But more than that, it's the story of how a nation balances reform with reverence and modern law with centuries-old trust. Today, in episode 19 of The Bigger Picture, let's know more about Waqf Act 2025. Waqf is a concept in Islamic law that refers to a charitable trust or endowment. It means permanently dedicating a property like land or buildings for religious or public welfare purposes. Once declared as Waqf, the property cannot be sold, inherited, or transferred. It must be used for the benefit of community. In India particularly, the concept of Waqf was introduced around 1192 AD during the medieval period. Many rulers established Waqf properties to support mosques, religious schools like madrasas, and then orphanages and even rest houses. Over time, this became a structured system of religious philanthropy. Post-independence, the Indian government passed laws to regulate and protect Waqf properties. The Waqf of 1954 established state Waqf Boards, and 1995 law further strengthened oversight by creating Waqf tribunals. Amendments followed in 2013 to include more representation and control misuse of those properties. Today, India has over 8.7 lakh Waqf properties across 4 lakh hectares of land. They include mosques, graveyards, schools, dargahs, and community welfare spaces. But many of these properties face problems like encroachment, lack of records, or misuse. That's where the Waqf Bill 2025 comes in. The UMEED Act. What changed and why now? The Waqf Bill 2025 is officially called as Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act, shortened as the UMEED Act. It replaces some provisions of Waqf Act 1995. Parliament passed it in April 2025 after a long process of consultation and committee review. One of the biggest changes is the Waqf can no longer be claimed just by long usage. Previously, a property could be considered Waqf if the community had been using it as a mosque or graveyard or for a long time. Even without written proof, this was called Waqf by user. The new law removes this particular concept. Now only formally declared Waqf with proper documents will be recognized. Another major change is in how disputes are handled. Earlier, Waqf tribunals, special bodies with legal and religious experts, settled Waqf matters. Under new law, district collectors, who are regular government officials, will now handle such disputes. This has raised concerns both in neutrality and expertise. The law also introduces mandatory inclusion of Muslim members and non-Muslim members. Also, Muslim women in boards. It emphasizes digitization, record keeping, audits, and a better use of Waqf income for social programs. The government says these changes will increase accountability and help Waqf boards benefit more people. Let's now first see government standpoint. The government argues that UMEED Act is necessary modern reform. It seeks to eliminate ambiguity in Waqf declarations, improve revenue generation and strengthen legal oversight. By removing Waqf by user, as we have discussed earlier, the bill aims to prevent misuse where lands are informally declared as Waqf without clear title or ownership. If there is only clear title, then it is Waqf property. Either it is not Waqf property from here. Officials argue this leads to encroachment, illegal claims, and conflicts with public infrastructure projects, including non-Muslims and diverse Muslim sects like Shia, Sunni, Bohra, Aga Khani, etc. on boards is seen as a step towards inclusivity. So it is mandatory representation for Muslim women. The government frames this as a secular democratic approach to governance. Digitization is another pillar. A centralized portal is being developed to map and audit all Waqf properties. The hope is that transparency will build trust, and better managed properties will help fund education, housing, and healthcare for marginalized Muslims. Critics argue that the bill weakens Waqf autonomy and infringes upon Article 25 to 29 of the Indian Constitution, which protects religious freedom, minority rights, and community control over religious institutions. Removing Waqf by user disregards centuries-old religious practices established by collective use. Many mosques, graveyards, especially in rural areas, have no formal documents. Their fate now depends on government recognition. As I told you, district collector. The shift in dispute resolution from Waqf tribunal to district collectors who are government appointees raises concerns of partiality. Replacing Muslim law experts with bureaucrats in tribunals may erode religious context needed to adjudicate complex Waqf disputes. Of course, including non-Muslim members is seen by some groups as a dilution of Waqf's religious character. Critics say it undermines the self-governance principle and creates precedent for state overreach in religious affairs. Muslim organizations and religious scholars have expressed deep anxiety. Their fear is not just legal, it is emotional, cultural, historical. They question whether mosques or shrines maintained for centuries but undocumented will lose protection. They worry about government appointed authorities making decisions about their religious spaces. Many believe that reforms should have emerged from within community through greater accountability and digitization driven by boards themselves, not imposed through external structural change. The sense of alienation is growing. For many, the law symbolizes not modernization but marginalization. Their plea is not to reject reform but to make it inclusive, respectful, and rooted in the dialogue. Actually, the composition of Waqf boards has long been debated. The UMEED Act introduces fixed representation: 2 Muslim women, 4 non-Muslim at the central level, sect-based diversity, and backward class inclusion. Some see this as long overdue representation. Others worry that power may shift from religious scholars to bureaucratic appointees. This could undermine theological interpretation, which has always guided Waqf administration. The Central Waqf Council now has broader powers to audit, oversee, and even suspend local board decisions. Many board members quietly express concerns that their discretion has been reduced and that decision making is moving away from the community base. Reform or centralization, inclusion or interference, these are questions now embedded within the boards themselves. On the ground, implementation will be complex. Over 21,000 Waqf-related cases are pending in courts. Digitizing 8.7 lakh properties with varying documentation quality is a Herculean task. Graveyards, shrines, mosques, many face legal battles to prove their historical Waqf status. District collectors have to navigate sensitive religious and legal terrain, often without subject expertise. The socio-economic vision of using Waqf income for Muslim women, the poor, and the backward section remains aspirational until enforcement mechanisms are tested. Trust will be the key here. Whether this law uplifts or isolates depends not just on its text but on its tone, how sensitively, fairly, and transparently it is implemented. India is handling Waqf reforms may shape global image. As the world watches how secular democracies treat religious minorities, the UMEED Act becomes more domestic policy. While some view it as internal efficiency measure, others may see it as reflective of shifting majoritarian narratives. The law could be enforced in human rights. The law could be referenced in human rights reports, UN forums, and international religious freedom indices. India's past has shown that religious trust and constitutional principles can coexist. How this balance is maintained now will shape not just public policy but public faith. There is no geopolitical gain in domestic discord, of course. Only unity built on justice becomes a strength abroad. The Waqf Bill 2025 is not just about the land, it's about a legacy. It is an attempt to resolve long-standing challenge, but one that enters deeply sacred space. Its strength will not lie in its clauses, but in how gently it handles what people hold sacred. Waqf has always been about trust, a trust between community and state, between belief and governance. The trust must now be renewed. In the end, the question is not whether reform is needed, it is whether reform can respect memory, faith, and identity without rewriting them.
What's happening in Telangana?
Let me now take you to the University of Hyderabad.
Several students of the University of Hyderabad were detained by police on Sunday after they staged a protest.
In the heart of Hyderabad lies 400-acre patch of dense green forest, a quiet place where peacocks roam and pythons curl under ancient stone, and the air feels cleaner just by being there. It is not any tourist map, but to the people nearby, it is life. But in April 2025, very recently, bulldozers rolled in overnight while the city celebrated Ugadi and Eid. Chainsaws echoed through the silence. The Gachibowli forest nearby Hyderabad Central University became the site of quiet war between growth and greenery, cement and soil. This is not just about forest, it is about how we decide what matters more, prosperity or peace, GDP or groundwater. Today